So lately, I've been noticing that my motivation to study Japanese has waned quite a bit. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why and my plan for how I'm going to change that. It's also going to include a weekly review because I think it's really obvious that you're not progressing with something if you could just check, like, at the end of this week compared to the beginning, what did I learn? And I think for Japanese, I can't think of anything very solid that I learned. Compare that to maybe, let's say, a month or two ago where I was learning 10 kanji a day. I can feel a very heavy, stark contrast. So let's talk about why I'm in this state right now. And ironically, it's really bad timing because this coming week, I'm going to have to take a test, a placement exam online for the language school that I'm going to once the new year starts. And I don't feel ready. I don't feel ready at all. But I do feel like because of my path of making a lot of tutorial-based videos related to shorts, my TikTok challenge, that kind of made me feel a little burnt out from Japanese a little bit. And from there, I kind of stopped wanting to study more. It's so weird how making content about something all day makes me not want to engage with it as much. But it is a real effect. I felt it before. I've now felt it again. And I really need to manage that. I think that's something that I've noticed enough times to the point where I need to tell myself, don't do that because it's gonna cause you to burn out and slow down. And I think it's mostly related to learning content or making content regarding something that's more tutorial based rather than me learning, because when I was learning 10 kanji a day, I felt really good and I loved it. So it isn't the learning aspect that demotivates me, it's more so creating content around something that's probably more so tutorial based. I think I'm fine with doing it, I just have to space it out. I can't just do it all day, otherwise it makes me feel like I don't want to touch the material anymore. But recently I've been trying to do a challenge where I learn the 2000 core vocabulary words for Japanese, and at a certain point, day 15 actually, I learned about 1000 of them, and I realized that I knew about 700 words already out of that list. It's from Shirabe Jisho, an app that's really useful for learning Japanese. That list has 2000 vocabs of the most common Japanese words, and from the 1000 I've gone through, only about 200 to 300 of them were actually like brand new to me, which is really good because I did spend basically about a year of time in Japan. So I've been more or less studying Japanese for actively, slightly passively and actively for about 2 years. And now that I've gone through some experiments with learning Japanese, especially the learning 300 kanji in 30 days challenge, that was like peak me in terms of learning. I want to go back to that. I feel like, well, just to close off the vocab stuff, after the 15-day, I stopped because I felt like it was a bit too much and there wasn't enough context. Basically, I needed to use the words more in sentences, and I feel like a good way to do that would just be to have conversations with my friends, like call them up, native Japanese friends, and try to use the words that I'm learning. But it is kind of difficult to do all the time. Once I'm back in Japan, it'll be a lot easier. So I figured once I am back in Japan, I'll try to use those words more and try to hear them and listen to them more. But in the meantime, I do think trying to use AI to reinforce the words that I'm learning could be useful. However, I just haven't come up with a good system yet to how to do that. But that's why I stopped, because I felt like it was becoming less and less effective each day as I went on. But in my opinion, a flawed system is still better than a system where you just don't learn anything. So in my opinion, if I just kept going, it would have been maybe like closer to day 20 something now. I think I probably would have learned more than had I just stopped and tried to think of a new, better system. That's why I feel like for the kanji challenge, when I kept going and I didn't miss a single day other than the checkpoint days where I took a test on stream to just showcase that I knew the kanji, it may not have been the best system, but just continuing to learn new material and reinforcing and reviewing that the previous kanji that I learned, it still is so much better than trying to come up with the perfect system. So I think that's the big takeaway, honestly. So what I'm going to do from here on is get back to learning vocab and kanji in a flawed system, a flawed manner. I'll continue to try my best to make it a better system over time. But I think just learning new material continuously, especially with the app that I was using previously, I am on JLPT N2 Kanji now. I took a few lessons on the app for about I think I learned 3 or 4 or 5 new kanji in N2. And I think I just need to keep going. At this point, just keep learning new kanji, keep reviewing them day to day, and I'm pretty sure that's going to help me in the long run. Also, another reason why I stopped learning the common vocab from Shirabe Jisho was because there was a lot of new kanji that was popping up. So I thought to myself, it'd probably be smarter if I just went through all of JLPT N2 kanji first, so then I can recognize the kanji, and it'll just be easier to then use the flashcards to practice. So that was another reason. So I think I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to just start learning some JN2 kanji. I don't know if I'm going to do 10 a day. That was kind of crazy. I might just do a more sustainable pace. Maybe let's say 5 a day. Let's just go with that for now. But the big lesson really is to have a goal with your studying in terms of what you study each day. Like, how many are you aiming for each day? When I was doing the 2030 days, I was trying my best to reach 100 because I knew that most likely I wouldn't be able to, and I'd get somewhere closer to, let's say, 50 to 100. That gave me leeway to finish the challenge within 30 days. But most of the time, whenever I do 30-day challenges, they aren't really meant to be a complete success. I think the 300 in 30 days was really a crazy situation that ended up working out. Even my 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups every single day for 30 days, that took 3 phases, meaning I tried the first time, I failed. I tried the second time, I failed again. And then I tried the third time and I succeeded. So I wasn't able to do that many push-ups and pull-ups every single day without the first 2 trial periods of 60 days. So in a lot of ways, because back then I wasn't documenting every day, and now that I am documenting every day, I feel like I'm putting a lot more pressure on myself to make sure that I'm flawless, because I am recording it and putting it out there. So it does feel like I'm being held accountable, even though technically I'm the one that actually cares and nobody else really cares that much. I know that, but it still feels that way. And I think it's not a bad thing, but I also have to realize that is usually how it goes. It goes in phases of failure, and then eventually I learn from the failures and come up with something that's much better. Or I just increase in skill level and I'm capable of doing it from there, like the push-up and pull-up challenge. That's why I think for the 100 TikToks in 30 days, I'm okay with me failing that, because I feel like I've learned a lot from it already. And yeah, I know I told my friend that I want to, we can check at the end of 30 days to see how many TikToks we made, but I think I'm going to check out from that challenge. I'll continue to make shorts and TikToks. I think the best thing that came out of it though is that I'm planning on now making shorts for my main channel, and I think that's going to be very, very helpful for my main channel. Previously I had no plans of doing that, but now that I realized like it can drive traffic to the channel and it can be helpful. I mean, I knew that back then, but like actually doing it and being in the middle of it, I'm like, I really should be doing this for my main channel. So that's probably the biggest change that's going to happen soon. But before that, I really just need to finish some main channel videos. So we're going to get into the weekly review portion of this. And I have a list. Previously in a video, I talked about how I need to do a weekly review on camera and just follow this path. So we're going to talk about the 5 things I told myself to do every week so that I stay on track. Number 1, review the path forward map. That's what we call it, the path forward map. And the question is, are we closer to our ultimate goal? So right now, I'd say my ultimate goal is to make a living from my creative endeavors. So at this point, I'd say just a certain amount of money that allows me to sustain myself comfortably. That's my first ultimate goal. So to put a number on it, I'd say around at least 5K a month. Let's just go with that for now. And I'd say as of now, this very moment, I'm closer to around 1K a month, which is terribly little. I actually made more back then because I was more active on my main channel. So it really does have a big impact. But luckily, I've worked over a long period of time, so I have a fair amount of savings, so I don't have to worry about, not meeting ends needs and whatnot. So for now, I'm in a safe zone, but I do feel like it's becoming more and more urgent. So it definitely is the ultimate goal right now. And because I'd say I did work on some main channel stuff, and honestly, I feel like I could have finished it had I not been distracted, had I not had mental blocks throughout this week. But at the very least, I scripted, I recorded the video, like me talking to the camera, and I also recorded the voiceover for it. Still need to edit the voiceover and still need to put the video together. I am going to do my best to just do that tomorrow, and only that. So I'm going to focus on only making that video, because really that it leads to the ultimate goal. And honestly, it's the video where I talk about failure is the only way forward, and it's not meant to be a highly viewed video. It's a warm-up video indicating that I'm back on the main channel, and I feel like I've done that so many times for my main channel, where I needed to make a video after a long break just to warm myself up. And then the next video, which is going to be I learned 300 kanji in 30 days, that's going to be a video I try a lot harder with. And I also want to make it within this week, because I have a lot of plans that I want to execute before going to Japan. So I have to really, really lock in. So number 2, progress and small wins. What did I accomplish this week? I think I just mentioned it. I worked on the main channel stuff, and I also brainstormed a lot of things. There was an idea I had back then, or just a name of something, which is called the challenge hour, where I showcase myself doing a challenge for an hour and having like a solid goal. It sort of comes from what I did in Japan with the challenge of juggling and also the challenge of the Rubik's Cube. I basically learned how to solve a Rubik's Cube within an hour, and it was a really, really fun video. Actually, I did it a little bit over an hour, I think. But either way, I also learned how to juggle 3 balls in about 3 hours, which was really fun. It wasn't 1 hour, but I tried. And I really, really enjoyed making those videos. And I want to make more of them down the line. So I had this really big brainstorming session, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and it was definitely me being sidetracked, but I felt way too inspired and way too excited about it to not at least further the idea a little bit. And I think I need to stop doing that, at least for the rest of my time here. I need to stop doing that. I need to just execute on what we have so far. I'm like a serial procrastinator when it comes to shiny object syndrome and just thinking of new ideas and everything. For now, just like how I locked in on the audiobook and got it done, I need to do the same thing for my main channel videos and just my course. I'm planning on making a more premium online course, not like a Skillshare class where it's a little bit simpler in terms of, you're learning one skill, but like a project-based course where it's the most premium course I can come up with, where I give it a lot of effort, a lot of time, and really walk you through how to create. It's going to be about how to create an audiobook, since that's basically what I've done really recently, and I've learned so much from it. I just feel like I want to make that course, and it'll serve the ultimate goal if I can market it correctly and make it a really good product. So that's something I really, really want to finish before the year ends. If anything, it's probably the number one thing, but in terms of meaningful things, yeah, I'll talk about that next time once we actually start it. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. It's just we have a lot that we want to do, and if I don't lock in, I'm not going to be able to do any of it. Number 3 on the list is, I added it this week because I feel like it's so important. Review lessons learned list. So I actually made a list of the lessons I've learned in the past and more recently as well. I'll go ahead and write it down or read it out for you guys. It's kind of quick. So focus on ultimate goal. Very simple lesson. Do meaningful projects. That's kind of like what I realized that I'm passionate about lately, is doing things that are meaningful to me. Then lucid activation. I know that sounds kind of strange, but I talk to myself very often, and lucid activation to me just means being hyper intentional and deliberate about what I'm doing, whether it's practice, whether it's working on a project. Everything I need to do, everything I'm doing needs to be like in a lucid state is how I sort of describe it. And I have 2 ideas that sort of encompass this, which is the zero ambiguity law. I just like coming up with strange names, but basically in that I said decision fatigue is killing my energy, and I need to just plan and execute quickly. So decide on what I need to do and do it, instead of just continuously trying to figure out what I need to do. That's sort of what this past 2 weeks or 3 weeks has been ever since I finished the audiobook, is just decision fatigue all over the place, and realizing I didn't want to do the TikTok challenge anymore and continuously create content about just Japan and Japanese stuff. That realization, it took a lot of transitioning away from it and rethinking things to be like, okay, I want to do the things that are actually meaningful to me before I go back to Japan, and I want to get these projects done, so I need to pivot. And pivoting away is very difficult. Yesterday, I spent like 3 to 4 hours working on short form content, and I was just like, no, we can't do both. We have to give it up. it doesn't make sense. So actually after this video, I'm gonna just let the shorts be my daily videos for the uploading 1 year challenge, because I can't keep coming up with excuses to be distracted. Like I really do need to just like fully focus. Zero entertainment, that's a big lesson. It's really effective for me. I really love it when I do it. I need to get back to it. I'm mainly going to be doing it for weekdays, and on weekends I'll allow myself to, watch a show or watch an anime that I enjoy or something. And then a big lesson I learned this week, I'd say, is chaos is part of the journey. I can't expect myself to always be on tip-top shape. I am learning a lot along the way, so there's going to be transitions. There's going to be lessons I learned and didn't realize before, or I didn't internalize it. And I need to be quick about just, okay, this is something I learned that's new. Let's apply it immediately and move on. And then a few realizations I've made in the past. Mindset and lessons must be practiced like a muscle. That's why I'm doing this in the first place, because these are lessons I've learned, I felt them, but they are not ingrained in me. I still deviate from them. Therefore, I have to say them over and over and over and remind myself over and over and over and just keep trying to live by them. Otherwise, yes, I know the lessons, but I haven't internalized them. So yeah, I'm going to be repeating myself a lot over time. So that was mindset and lessons must be practiced like a muscle. And then another realization, especially recently, I thought of this again. Every decision counts towards the ultimate goal. So I know that sounds extreme, but it's very true. Literally, when I wake up and I decide to check my phone, I usually have a slower day. I usually just have a less productive day if that's the first thing I decide to do when I wake up. When I don't do that and I decide, all right, let's just head to the restroom, do our stuff, immediately go to the gym, that's a good day. I already know it's going to be a good day. I'm focused, I'm ready, I'm locked in. Every decision counts, even if it's just such a small decision. And that includes literally like sleeping on time or not, sleeping 1 hour later compared to 1 hour earlier. It really, like, choosing to brainstorm new ideas when I have so many ideas I need to already execute. Every decision counts. And I need to remember that for this following week, because it's going to be very important for setting the pace from here on until the end of the year. And then a recent video I made, passion is developed, not found. So I don't really need to talk about that. That's just if you want to check out the video. But I feel like we can't list every single one of these every single time. So what I might do is just review them on camera, but cut it out next time. But just to finish the rest, and these are less of lessons that I've learned personally and experienced, and more so what I keep hearing. So the 5 closest people around you really, really shape you. So for me, I don't really have that many friends that are like super creative or trying to do something similar with their creative path, with a creative path, I guess. So I need to surround myself more with people like that. I know people like that, but I'm just not as close with them. So I need to try my best to either form better relationships with them or just, keep trying to connect with people like that. Communication skills are very important for a lot of aspects in life. That's something I keep hearing from Vin, a recent guy I watched, Diary of a CEO. A lot of his guests say that. So yes, I will keep that in mind. I will try my best to be a better communicator. And then something here, this is something I heard someone do at some point. I think it was Alex Hormozi who was mentioning it for something related to business, but I call it the best of the best elimination cycle. So basically, if I were to apply this to TikTok, let's say I made 10 videos, maybe 10's not enough. Let's say I made 20 videos, and then out of the 20 videos, which 5 did the best? And from that 5, we can decide. Well, actually, in my mind, I decided to do it in categories. So this is something I thought of myself. So best in terms of views, best in terms of 5 best in terms of views, 5 best in terms of, I enjoyed making it, 5 best in terms of sustainability. Like, can I make this continuously, easily? Will that happen? And then you give it a score. Let's say like each is out of 10, and then at the end it's out of 30. And then the top 5 move on to the next cycle of 20 to 30 videos that you make. So you make those types of videos based on the 5 like over again, but in a new way, basically. So I call that the best of the best elimination cycle. And I need to apply it for future things that I do. I can't quite do it yet because I feel like I just haven't really locked in on a type of content yet for that I make consistently enough. Of course, I am going to make a lot of challenge content for my main channel. So we'll see what happens there. Like, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to apply it eventually. All right, next is the number 4 task on the weekly review, which is the system check. And for this one, I'm just asking myself, was I efficient with time and was I maximized? Meaning, was I doing the best things I could with my time, not just being efficient? Honestly, the answer is no. I think I was just doing way too many things that were outside of me reaching my ultimate goal. So the answer is no, and we need to change this week. I just need to really, really lock in. I keep saying that. I'm going to keep saying it until I do it. So that's number 4. Number 5 is plan the new week's primary goal towards the ultimate goal. So it's, the steps that you make towards the ultimate goal. What are those mini goals? And we already mentioned it. So finish 2 main channel videos. And actually on our list, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. We also want to create a Skillshare class. It's just going to be a small one where we demonstrate how to use a small, or like basically my iPad as a remote device for my iPhone, because sometimes for the Blackmagic camera app, whenever I record, things go wrong and I can't tell because it's facing away from me. And I was like, okay, it would be a really good idea to learn how to use my iPad as a second device so I can view it while my phone is recording. I just think I should get into that practice, and I've done it before, so I know how to do it, and I might as well create a tutorial while I'm like refining the process. It's a very, very simple class. So that's why I feel like I can probably do it within one day if I try really, really hard. And then we also need to make our essential Japanese video where we talk about, it's like a mini version of my audiobook. We just talk about lessons from my audiobook. So it's like a video where if you watch that video and you found it useful, then maybe you want to check out my audiobook. We should be making actually a lot of videos like that, but I will probably do more of it once I'm actually in Japan. So those are the 4 videos that we need to make this week. And I don't know if we can do it, but I'm going to try my best. It really means that I cannot do anything else if this is my focus. And yeah, so that is the weekly review and the plan for this week. All right, let's refine the weekly reviews as we go, because that was really long. I was definitely rushing it, and you could probably hear the rushing in my voice, but I just don't want to spend too much time going over absolutely everything I wrote down because it's just so much. But I really do need to do this each week to sort of remind myself that if this is truly the path that I want to walk, I have to focus. I have to really hone in on doing the things that will get me there. Yeah, not to mention, I also need to study for the exam that I'm going to take for the placement one on top of all of this. And then the following week, I'm going to have a thing where it's the talking interview part where they have an instructor talking to you in Japanese, and basically they're going to check your speaking level. Yeah. My only thing is, as long as I'm in a class that's above the level of where I was previously 2 years ago when I went to language school, I'll be okay with that. And I almost guarantee, I don't know, I sometimes freak out for no reason. I just have this like weird thing that I do where I'm not confident about my own abilities, even though I know I'm like 100 times better than I was 2 years ago in Japanese. It's just, I still have those thoughts that what if this happens? What if the worst case scenario happens where I somehow get placed in like the absolute beginner level? And I would totally freak out, honestly, but there's no way that could happen, because at this point I know about 600 something kanji. 2 years ago I knew 50. So there's no way that could happen, but I still have that like nightmare scenario in my head. And I just, man, it really scares me and makes me nervous. I know I shouldn't feel it, and it makes no sense, but I feel it. I also have an event that I need to attend that I promised my friend that I would attend. So that's going to be something that's also, it's a lot to juggle. And I'm also going to see some friends again the following day. This is going to be a really hard week, but I'm going to do my best. And I might report in just like a video where I literally don't edit. I just talk to the camera. I think that's why I made so many videos like that, because it's easy and I don't have to think about it. And I may just need to do that if I want to continue with the posting 1 year for 1 year. I'm almost there, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But I think after I finish, I'm not going to continue posting every single day. It's just not productive. I think I can make significantly better videos if I just record and edit a bit more and think things through. There's just so many things I could do better with more time instead of just like posting daily. But we'll see. I may feel differently once I'm in Japan. All right, that was a little preview of what it's like in my own mind. I honestly have so much that I'm juggling in my head that it's hard to This is why this past week I was just in complete chaos, and the juggling of ideas really caused a lot of decision fatigue, which made me not just tired, but also frustrated and confused. So I have a path forward. I know what I'm doing this week. It's just so much. And let's stop talking about it and get some work done. If you managed to sit through this video, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.